Hello, Kathy.
Hello, Raul. How are you doing?
I'm hanging in there. I still not fully recovered from the flu. I believe it's a COVID situation. It's like it has lasted for almost 8 days.
Oh, I'm sorry to
Uh,
hear that.
but but I think I am recovering. So sometimes you need to do what you need to do in all areas of your life, and
I
this
know.
is the health area, and I just put in that aside and focus in the most important thing, which is to be here, living in the present, being with you, and sharing all of this great information. And so we had a very nice conversation last week, right? And we promised to the audience that we are gonna get deeper as far as how to stop sabotaging your relationship. And we did talk that there are so many meanings of relationships that go from acquaintances, go from um, family, etc. Right? So, but I think we narrowed this one in loving romantic relationships,
Yes.
right? So let's elaborate on that.
Okay. Now, I admit that I've had a lot of interaction with women regarding their relationships, but not a lot of men because men don't like to talk. So I did a little research and I found that this organization, South Brandon Center for Anxiety, Trauma, and Sleep Disorders, had a really good article about how men sabotage their relationships. So as we go through this, I want I want your take on it. When we go through the 5 steps that they talk about, tell me
Mhm.
how you feel about it or if you've witnessed any of this in your friends. So let's get started.
All right.
Okay, 5 ways that men sabotage relationships. Okay, let's go to the first one. An article appeared in this particular organization's newsletter. They identified 5 ways that men sabotage their relationships. So
Uh,
let's take a look at the first one.
yeah. So even before getting deeper into that, I think uh, mental health is so important. Personal development is so important um, because I think everything is tied together, right?
Yes.
And so just wanted to share with people that if you are facing um, failure, which is part of life, right? Don't get disappointed, but look for help. Don't
Yeah.
get over depressed. Depression and crying is not going to resolve the problem.
No, it won't because your thoughts are very powerful. And if you dwell on what's wrong, you will attract more of what's wrong. So
Yeah,
that's a very good point.
right. With that being said, now we can go deeper into the 5 ways that men sabotage the relationship, and surely I am in that group.
Okay. Number
Right.
one, lying. Not being truthful with your partner is a surefire way to sabotage your relationship. Excuse me. Lying can be twofold: deliberately not telling the truth to someone else or lying by omission. Number one is self explanatory. Number two involves hiding behavior or not coming forward with the truth, but you're not being challenged to do so either. Either way, lying is terribly damaging. This is because the foundation of any healthy relationship is based on trust. If your partner can't trust you, how can they really love you?
Oh, that's a good point. Let me comment into that. I couldn't agree more with you about the lying situation, right? When somebody wants to impress other person by saying lies, like stating, for instance, that I have a great job and I have doing a lot of good money just to impress other people, right? So that's a lie. It's better to say I am working towards being successful and I am struggling, and then you open your heart in that way. If that person is the right person to you, she will understand. And if she does not understand, that means that the universe does not want this person around you. And the same applies for women,
Absolutely.
right? Or hiding things about your family members. Somebody maybe has an illness and you don't want to get deeper into the illness situation from a member of your close family, and you just don't say really what is going on with you and around your family because you want to show good face, right? That to
Yeah.
yourself like you are, you know, amazingly great. And if this person disqualify you by, your illness or because just, one of your family members, then again, it's not the right person.
Well, it always catches up with you, Raul. And there are so many movies or shows on TV about couples who meet, and one of the two has lied about his or her entire life, their career, etc., to impress that person. But eventually, as the movie proves, you have to come clean because where is the relationship going otherwise? You can't perpetuate lying and maintain a healthy relationship, just like this says. I mean, it looks great on film because it always comes out good in the end, happy ending. But does this really happen in real life? If
Right.
you have to lie to somebody, then you need to take a look at the reason why you feel the need to lie. Mostly, it's always the same thing. And I'm going to tell you right now, every single problem people have with relationships comes down to one simple fact: they just don't think they're good enough. They have no idea of their own power. They beat themselves up. They're constantly putting themselves down. So they feel they have to lie with somebody because if they knew the real person, they would just run away. So somewhere along the line, we lost the belief that we are worthy people. So that's
Mhm.
why a lot of people lie. They have no idea how much they are loved and how much they matter and how perfect they are in God's eyes.
Right, I agree with that. But and if we place this in what I call it terrestrial planet Air way, it's like I understand why. Well, I could understand why people lie too. Um, it doesn't say that I justify it, but sometimes I see women and men that you because when you are with someone and you know this person, you have this idea that this person wants someone perfect or reaching perfection or uh, feel admiration and all that stuff. Then the man, in order to cope with that expectation from the woman, start creating stories like uplifting themselves so that they can have a chance, right? But I believe it's a bad move because if that woman wants somebody that is perfect, somebody that is, like, let's put it this case, wealthy, handsome, all the qualities that you can imagine, right? The list is like 1,000 features of what they want as a man.
Yeah.
right? And perfect, clean, and the list can go on and on, so on and so forth, right? And the men try to, go to go with that kind of attitude of putting all of, trying to convince her that he has the 1001 qualities of her list, right? I think we just come from a very bad uh, start. First of all, because
Yeah.
because woman needs to, I think, in my humble opinion, and people are gonna, you know, some woman will disagree, and it's fine, and think that I am a jerk. It's fine too. But in the brain of the woman, I sometimes think that they have a very detailed checklist of what they want. Some of them, and it's so detail oriented. And when we do our list, it's maybe 10 things that we want. But when they do their list, it's like 55, 70
You're
things.
absolutely right, because I talked to those women. And I'll tell you something else that I have discovered. We still come back to the same issue, Raul, because when I talk to a woman whose requirement for a man is a list this long, I look at this woman and I say, so what you're going to do is reject every man before they reject you, because your list is impossible. We are human beings. We make mistakes. And instead of concentrating on how a man makes you feel, you're looking at a list of things you expect of him that are unrealistic and unreasonable. Therefore, you remain alone. So that's why they do it, Raul, because the only thing that really matters is how a man makes a woman feel. And if you make a woman feel like she is the only person in the world, and if you let her know how much you love her, that's the one thing about Gary that I really love, because Gary, from the first time we went out,
So
made
tell
me
to
feel
the tell
good.
excuse me, tell to the audience who is Gary, because it's the first
Oh,
time I think that.
Gary is my 28 years we've been together. Gary is my partner in life. 28 years. But from that first date, when we went to Dave and Buster's, of all places, and had a really great time. And that's the one thing that Gary has always made me feel special. And he has taken care of me when I'm sick, and he has supported me in everything I wanted to do. That's all a woman really wants. It comes down to how you make a woman feel. And if you're not concerned with what the woman is thinking about you, I wonder what she thinks about me. What if I'm not this? What if you just concentrate on finding out about that person?
Yeah, no,
How about that?
I fully agree with what
Yeah.
you're stating.
Yes.
Yeah, so one of the questions I usually bring when I am meeting someone, and I ask what you bring to the table. Like, so you have your list, you have your high expectations. So now what you bring in the relationship, right? And it's not a competition. It's just
No, it's not.
it's just a sharing of, of understanding expectations and understanding what I am bringing, so that
Mhm.
this works, right?
Yeah.
And I think that contribute to a very interesting conversation, as far as if we can move forward, if we can be good friends,
Yeah.
and so on and so forth. Okay, so enough for the lying.
Okay. Number 2, lack of respect. Another guaranteed way to sabotage relationships is disrespecting your partner. You did this by not valuing your partner's opinions or insights, using insults and name calling towards your partner, not giving priority to their needs, wants, or requests, not prioritizing your partner. No one likes to be disrespected. In the long term, it's a recipe for relationship disaster. So, what do you think about that?
Well, here I think we need to learn how humans react. And there is a very interesting book called, uh, I think is like Men Are From Mars.
Women
Humans
are
are,
from Venus, men are from Mars.
right.
Yes.
And so in that book, they talk that, you know, we are different. Our way to um, prioritization may not be what the woman is requesting, because we don't have our brain is not wired to understand what the needs are from the woman perspective, because we are different. We were wired differently. A need that you require may be an emotional need, and I may be understanding maybe that it's not an emotional need, maybe it's a material thing that you need, like time, instead of buying you like gold rings or jewelry, right? So it really depends what the needs are, and so that's one of the points that sometimes we don't understand, that the way how I show love as a person, as I am driven by my personality, maybe is I don't know, maybe call you 3 times in a day, but then the other person can take it as, oh, you are micro controlling me, you're a controller freak, why you're calling me 3 times, right? And so that means that from a point of understanding personalities, this is something that needs to be discussed with your partner. Understanding if you are an introvert, extrovert, understanding, what makes you feel good, what is doesn't make feel you good. And so I will be very careful to say lack of respect, because for it will be maybe that it's not lack of respect, it's just your personality trait, but it could be perceived as a lack of respect too.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there is more to be developed on the number two. But bottom line, I think the fundamental of the lack of respect is when a man becomes abusive. Abusive doesn't have anything justification. It's not a personal trait. It's just being abused.
Well, a lot of that comes from their childhood. Remember, a person who abuses was abused in 98% of the time. And if a woman is getting with a man who is abusing, first thing she needs to do is realize it's not about her. The man it's just a pattern with this man, and to move on, but to not take it personally. But that's not somebody that I would want to be with, to tell you the truth, because if it's something that occurred from their childhood, it's going to be tough to overcome unless they're willing to face it and work on it. So if a
Yeah.
man were to disrespect me and make fun of my opinions, I would understand it's really not about me. He's the one with the problem. I just move on.
Yeah. The other thing that is needed to be understood is that it goes both ways. Sometimes it's the man who is mistreated.
Yep,
Sometimes it's the man who is being called names.
absolutely.
Sometimes it's the man that is mocked, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I believe there is a bi-directional relationship in what we call respect,
Mm-hmm.
right? And but what is not tolerable, I believe, is when you cross, the violence. When it becomes violent,
Yeah.
I think that means that now you need to take action and maybe separate for a second.
Yeah, because there is no reason to ever stay in a relationship that is physically abusive.
Yeah, that is a no, and you should, take the time to say, "Mm, no, I'm not going
No,
to that route."
absolutely. Okay, number three, gaslighting. Gaslighting occurs when someone provides information to another that makes them question their own memory or perception. In turn, they feel less able to trust their own instincts and judgment. This is more than simply lying, although lying is part of gaslighting. It is a manipulation tool that creates an unbalanced power dynamic between two people.
Okay, so let's elaborate this one. Um, I was not born here in the US, so help me to understand the gaslighting.
There
I,
is a actually
give an
wonderful movie.
example. An
Yeah, there's a
example.
wonderful movie that was made in the 50s, I believe, with Charles Boyer and Ingrid Bergman. And he married her and took her to her old childhood home. Her mother was a famous actress. And he did it because he wanted the jewels that her mother had stored somewhere in that house. So he made her feel like she was going crazy. And he pulled all these stunts on her, like turning off the gas lights. And she'd go into the room and she'd say, "The lights are off." But then he'd walk into the dark room and he'd say, "What are you talking about? The lights are on. I see perfectly." So she began to question her own sanity. This is what we call gaslighting. And it is a way for somebody to feel like they have power over you. If somebody is insecure, if a man feels the need to control the woman, he will pull gaslighting all the time. He will say, "You forgot to put the garage door down. Did you bring the stuff in? No, you didn't. I bet you didn't, did you?" Anything to make her feel inadequate.
Mm,
So then he can have control over her. Gaslighting, it's called.
yeah, so that's not good.
Nope.
That's
But here
definitely
again,
not
it
good.
comes from a man who is insecure, or it could be coming from a man who has certain things that he has on his mind. Maybe he married a rich woman and he really wants her money. So he's going to make her feel like she's crazy so he can get a hold of that money.
Got it.
Number four, lack of follow through. You tell your partner that you will get the leaves raked, the light replaced, and run those errands, yet you never do. This is more than an inconvenience. Not following through with your commitments goes back to establishing trust in the partnership. If your partner can't trust you to do what you say you'll do, it doesn't bode well for the long term. It may be that you aren't that invested in doing these tasks, but your partner might be. Excuse me. Excuse me, having the ability to follow through shows that you care and that you are willing to invest the time necessary to support the partnership and the household.
Yeah, I, I have an opinion into this one. The follow through um, is important, but there is going to be a follow through that is genuine and authentic when the other person is also contributing you as a team member.
Mhm. It works
When
both ways.
Yeah, when there is unbalance, I call it unbalance of power, right? It's like you are doing the effort and the other person is just expecting you to do the effort. Wedding is even romantic or even, you know, planning something. And when there is an imbalance there, is when the follow through start like diminish. It's like, why I'm doing this. It's like you need like sort of energy from the other source so that ignites you. And this doesn't have anything to do with our capability to service people, right? Just go from my bottom of my heart and I serve you. Therefore, I do the follow through for you. But this person that is doing the follow through will be may need some sort of appreciation, some sort of motivation, right? So that it helps in you know.
Well, Raul, can I tell you something?
Yeah, go ahead.
I can remember when my relationship with Gary, about 5 years in, wasn't going that well. And when I asked for guidance, I was told to make Gary feel like he's the most important person in my life. And the funny thing was, when I started telling Gary every single day, I love you, I am so grateful for you, you don't know how much I appreciate what you do for me, I watched this man just open up like a flower. And when I started telling him, because there were things about him that I did not like, and I really wondered if I was going to end the relationship. But I decided to ask for guidance. And that's what I was told, because everything comes down to love. And I
Yeah.
tell you, Raul, when I started telling him how great he was, and it wasn't a lie, Gary does a lot of wonderful things, how much I appreciate him. Now he can't help me enough. If I ask him to do something, it's done just like that. I never have to wonder. So a lot of times when you're disappointed in somebody, maybe we need to look at ourselves. Maybe we need to have an attitude change. And there were enough things, good things about Gary that I did appreciate. And I felt I could overcome the ones that I was not happy with. And I did it by telling him how much I loved him, appreciated him, and thanked him. I'm always thanking him every day for everything he does for me. And
Yeah.
I can't tell you, he just, whatever I ask, he's right there doing it for me. And I'm not manipulating him, I'm telling him the truth. And our relationship has blossomed and continued now for 28 years.
Yeah, I saw both of you, so I can testify that that's absolutely true.
Absolutely.
No, I fully agree with that. I think if a man feel appreciated, it really means a lot to us.
Yes.
And you know, if there is a woman listening to this, I will say, you want really to have, a man happy, appreciate him. Some words of motivation when he's down, it helps a lot,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, and the other way around too. If you are a man and you really want your woman to be happy, always appreciate, always say a thank you, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So that's awesome.
It works both ways.
Yep.
Number 5, distraction. I love the picture. Cell phone. Distraction means that you are not present and aware. Rather, your mind is off thinking about something else. Perhaps it's a big game on this weekend, your job, or a TV show you want to watch. Even worse, you visibly show or demonstrate your distraction by keeping your eyes and attention glued to your phone. I personally think people are addicted to their phone. The smartphone has become a key culprit by which men sabotage relationships. You signal that you are not here, that you are not giving your partner priority, and even that you don't care.
Well, I have also an opinion on this one. I don't believe it's just men. I
Oh,
believe it.
no,
I
absolutely not. You're right.
I believe I believe that this new society that is becoming digital, more and more our attention, our focus of attention is just becoming very, very bad,
Yeah.
in a way that we don't pay attention to the things that are more important to
Hmm.
us, and that allow us not to live the present. So it has an effect in our life, right?
Yes.
And so so that's why I'm happy sometimes when I am out of battery. It doesn't bother me actually. It's just say, okay, that's great. I will
Well,
charge
I
it.
can tell you one of the things that I would highly recommend if you are in a relationship is if you are, let's say you're married or you've been going together for a very long time, making one day a week date night. If you're married, get a babysitter. If you're dating, find a mutual respect for something. Find something you both really enjoy and promise yourself once a week, whether it's to go bowling. I used to go roller skating. You know, I never roller skated much until I was an adult. But my boyfriend and I, way back then, we had an adult night at our roller rink and we went roller skating every week. Or maybe going to see a movie or take a class together, learn how to cook together, or learn different things, go to a wine tasting, do something together. And you have to make that commitment. No excuses. Nothing can happen on that night. You can't go anywhere else. It's just for you two.
Yeah,
And the
but
people that I have talked to who did this are still together 50 years later.
yeah,
So
no,
that really works.
yeah, I agree. Agree. You know, the best way to avoid distraction is to create that environment of, sharing. Whether it's dancing. I
Mhm.
love to dance. I really love to dance. That's one of my hobbies.
And
Love
you love to
dancing,
sing. You love to sing.
and I
You
love
like
to
to go to
sing.
your karaoke night. What if you could meet a woman who enjoyed it and you could share that together? That would be
I
so much fun, Raul.
I love the karaoke. Yeah, once I sing in Portuguese, French, Spanish, and English. So uh, that was fun. But yeah, no, I think that's that's definitely the distraction thing is something that I believe men and women needs to contribute so that we avoid distraction by doing things together.
So
Yeah.
you may not intend to sabotage relationships, but in the end, that's what's happening. It can be painful, but doing some soul searching and reflection is helpful to better understand what you are doing and how to avoid those behaviors in the future. So,
But
next
this,
we'll talk about the women.
yeah, but
Today
this,
is about the men.
yeah. Um, so I think why we don't stop here and then we do next Thursday
Yep,
the one for
women.
women. I think that would
Yes.
be good.
Hmm.
Um, just to elaborate what you just said is so important about the soul searching and reflection.
Yeah.
Um, it will be nice if even before starting a relationship, like if you want a serious relationship, of course, right? And I mean serious by just having a one and one, no,
Yeah.
right? And know that one too many are not serious. It depends where you are in your life, but for the ones that are in one-to-one relationship, if you really want that relationship to work, I think the best will be to focus in three things. The soul searching, meaning that you have some common grounds as far as spirituality and what that means to you, what that means for your partner, and try to find a common ground. And with that, I am not saying that both needs to be Christians or both needs to be Muslims or Buddhists, but it's just to find that intersection where religion doesn't interfere in your relationship, that you're putting something more higher than that, than the dogma, right? So that's comes from the spirituality angle. The second one that I suggest, and I am talking this by experience, right? Because I if I would have the knowledge that I have now, I am 100% sure that my relationship with whoever was in my life before, it would have improved if I would have done this work with my partner, right?
Yeah.
Ex-partner. But I was not ready, maybe she was not ready, both were not ready, it's fine. It's just life sometimes have this mysterious way of having us to learn by pain, and I take it, but it corresponds to me.
Yeah.
And but if I will have this sort of awareness, I'm sure that circumstances will have been managed differently. But for that, you need a foundation. So I'm going to go with the number two. We'll talk about spirituality. Number two, I think, has to deal with personal development. And when I say personal development, it's more in the mind.
Yes.
Is in the fact that our belief mandates how we react in the present. But those beliefs maybe are not the ones that you need now. Because maybe those beliefs are pre-programmed facts or truths that come from your childhood, taught by your father and your mother, and you believe that that's the truth. But that's not the truth. Maybe it worked for them, but not for you, right? And so you carry that belief system that your marriage or your relationship needs to be that way. It may be that we need to cut with the past sometimes, right? So an example, like your mom, your father tells you that you are not good enough and that you need to impress women so that you are accepted because you are not good enough. So you are pre-programmed with that mindset that you have to always impress people, and it's like you live this kind of life, and then when you are in a relationship, if you don't execute that way of thinking, then you feel that you are not doing your best in the relationship. It's always impressing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you both, because this is like a partnership, right, do their job of investing time to go to like a seminar with that is related to personal development. I always recommend Landmark because it's the one that I know, but you can choose whatever you want. There are so many programs of personal development, and if you invest with your partner in doing that work, I can assure you that you're creating a very solid foundation also, because life is going to throw you a lot of stuff, and then when it throws you a lot of stuff, your mind comes back to the past. It's like, oh, I have to react this way because that's my defensive mechanism. Like many people, when they are having problems, we talk about lack of respect, they start insulting others, mimicking others. And why you have to react that way? Because maybe that's how you used to defend yourself when you were 5 years old. You think it's normal. It's not normal, right? So that's I think is the number two, right? And number three, I extremely believe that everybody should invest time to do meditation. And in Christianity, we call we call it contemplation. But meditation helps to reduce the noise of concerns, the noise of things that penetrates in our mind and make us feel angry sometimes or give us anxiety. And if you manage to practice with your partner meditation, what a beautiful experience of just being quiet for 30 minutes or 1 hour or 15 minutes, both in a room, just living the present with your closed eyes and just feeling the breathing sensation through your nose, not thinking about anything, just to have tranquility. And imagine if you are like having a very big conflict with your partner, and if you manage to say, okay, let's stop the arguing, we're just gonna keep quiet and meditate for 20 minutes before even insulting us or judging us. Just listen to ourselves, just with our eyes closed and doing some breathing exercise. If I can assure that if you have these three areas covered, I think that the possibilities of success in a partnership, in a relationship, should work. And I am not saying that it's 99.9% sure, but this is like probabilities, right? So I coming from an engineering background where data converts into information, and then I think that data suggests that when you mix all of those three things, your relationship should be better. If I would have known this, I'm sure that I would have managed things better. Well, that's how it is. That's why we are here, to learn, right? Not to judge. But I'm just saying that these three things, spirituality with your partner, working your subconscious mind, personal development, transformative learning, and meditation, all these three things blended, it really creates that atmosphere for a very healthy relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that I just wanted to give my insights, because I think since we are talking about loving relationships, I think that will be a good way to conclude this section, because then we're going to talk about how women sabotage relationship, and that's
It
that's
works
another
both
one.
ways, doesn't it?
It works both ways for sure. So, Kathy, something that you can add to my monologue of 5 minutes?
There's just one thing that I would like to add, whether you're a man or a woman. A dear friend of mine came to me and told me that she and her husband were getting a divorce. The kids were grown and they had grown apart. They had nothing in common. And she said, I am so lonely. And I said to her, do you really want this divorce? She said, I'm not really sure I do, but I can't stand the loneliness anymore. And I said, do you remember the man that you married? And I suggested that she get a picture of their wedding day with her and him together and that beautiful day, and begin to send this man love, to wake up in the morning sending him love, throughout the day sending him love, and looking at that picture before she goes to sleep at night, sending him love, because love is the most powerful force in the universe. And I said it'll take usually 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, depending on the man or the woman, because I've encouraged men to do this as well. And she said, well, I've tried to talk to him and he just gets up and leaves the room. And I said, what do you have to lose? Time given to love? Is that a bad thing? Well, 2 weeks into this, he came home one day and he sat down next to her and he took her hand and he said, I don't want a divorce. I love you. Is there something we can do to work this out? The power of love is truly remarkable, Raul. And he agreed to go to counseling and to have a date night every week. Now, that's 5 years ago that I encouraged her to do that. And all she talks about now is the exciting things that they're doing together. How they'd been married 40 years when they were getting a divorce, and now they're like newlyweds. So I know that it can happen. So never, ever, ever not remember the power of love. It's really amazing.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And also, one thing that I keep saying to me is, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be.
Well, you still have to work on it
That
because
you need to.
we have free will. So if you meet God halfway, God will meet you, but you must make the effort as well.
Yeah,
And you
agree.
always end up by saying, whatever is in my highest and best good.
Fully agree. Fully
Yes,
agree. All right, guys. We need to finish with this podcast. It was a very entertaining one. I apologize for my voice. I am still recovering from this flu that is, not going away. Hopefully next week I will be in 100% shape. And thank you, Kathy, for being with us here in this podcast. It's always nice to hear your insights and your knowledge, and want to acknowledge you for being a good friend too.
absolutely. Laura Wool, I love you.
And I loved you, and I love you, everybody that will eventually see this video.
Absolutely.
Take
Take
care.
care.
Bye.